Hi, so I'm Sean Lupton-Smith from the Electric Bike Company, and I've got Blake over here as our cameraman, and we've just set up this new channel called Brutally Honest E-Bike Reviews. And the reason why we started that was we find that there are some people that actually take the time and go visit the facilities and actually see how the bikes are built and all the intricacies of the e-bike. And there are others that are just really marketing reviewers. They sell space on their website and then they review every bike that's out there. And they obviously get paid to do the reviews, and you kind of just get it almost like it's like a marketing tool. It's not really an authentic, brutally honest e-bike review. So what we've done in the last 10 years, we've actually built our own bikes, and we've learned really tough lessons, and we've learned the intricacies of what makes a really good e-bike all the way through the spectrum to, quite frankly, not a good bike. So we've been looking around. There's some really good guys. There's Electric, and there's, Miss Go Electric is getting into the space. We've also got Electric Bike Report, and we've got one or two other guys, Area 13, that do a great job, and people that really get involved. They come to the factories, they actually see the builders, they see the parts, they see the experts, they see the processes, and they really they delve deep into what actually makes a good bike. So, but there's a ton of others that just it's really, are you getting an authentic, truthfully honest review? So we started this website. Hopefully it's going to be beneficial to everybody, and we're going to delve deep into the specifics. I want to start with our bike here at Electric Bike Company, and this is our Model Y. And we've as I say, we've evolved this over 10 years, and we've learned a lot through the process. And what makes the Model Y so so good? And so we're going to drill down to the part. Firstly, what we do is we have a look at the frame. So the frame itself is critical to an e-bike. It's not a bicycle frame, it's an actual e-bike frame. And what that is, it's got strong dropouts, because of course if you have a rear motor, your dropout can't just be a regular e-bike dropout, a regular bicycle dropout. It's got to be an e-bike dropout, because it takes a lot of torque on the dropout here. So this actually has to be super strong, nice and thick, and enough to be able to hold that torque and that pressure on the dropout. Also, with the thickness of the frame, a bicycle really is, you want it lightweight and you want it sort of like economical. And you can get it all the way down to about a millimeter and a half for the thickness of the frame. When you talk about the frame for an e-bike, it's actually almost like a motorbike or moped frame. So the frame itself cannot just be a bicycle frame. So there's a lot of brands that have taken bicycles and put motors and batteries on the bike, and we feel that that's really not a good idea. So it starts with the frame, and we've made sure that the welds are strong, the thickness of the frame is super strong, the dropouts are good, and then we go into the hardware. Now, small details on the hardware. We are real big fans, and there's other brands that are out there, Specialized on the higher end does a good job with that. Some of the Trek bikes, and it's really important to make sure that your bearings are integrated, that they're sealed. And you can actually see it's a sealed bearing. Now, a lot of the bearings that you get on these bikes themselves are not sealed. Our bottom bracket, as you can see, it's all sealed. No corrosion and dust and moisture can get inside there. And this is really important, not only for the bottom bracket, but also for the headset and for the hubs, the motor hub and the front hub, so that those bearings are sealed and they last a long time. So after 2 years or 3 years, you don't find the bike shaking around and moving around. So other brands, and we'll be doing some more reviews, will actually dissect the bike, we'll take it apart, and we'll see what kind of bearings are these folks using and what kind of hardware is being used. Hardware, you can get a nuts and a bolt from basically anywhere, and they range basically like a good red wine or something. You can get a really cheap product or a very high quality product. So because we build our bikes here, we can see we have over 700 different parts to make up our different models, and we can drill down to each part. One of the items, for instance, is a small, just one of our small examples is just a bolt. This is one of the bolts that attach our rotors to our to the bike, and you can see this is high tensile stainless steel. It's got a nice fastener on there, but also small detail. It's also got the Loctite. The Loctite on the hardware, really important. And this goes for all the different parts of the bike. So when you take these 700 different parts, we can actually spec them for our particular model. So that's the frame, the hardware, and then of course you've got all the other items. We'll start with the spokes, stainless rust resistant spokes. That's really important. Spokes are not just spokes. They 13 gauge, stainless rust resistant, but also the nipple itself here. That's a brass nipple that has actually been soaked in mineral oil to make sure that when it actually gets attached to the rim, that can tension correctly, it can dish the wheel correctly, and it can and the wheel itself is trued, and it stays that way for a long time. The rim is really important. It's a double-walled rim. So this rim has, we go to the factory, you make sure this rim is perfectly made, it's perfectly trued, and it's a high quality double-walled rim. And that's important so that the tire beading, and these are our branded tires. You can see it's really important for us to brand our own tires, but also to spec the quality of the tire so that the beading fits in perfectly inside the rims. In the wheel building process, which we do here at the factory, but the wheel building is crucial so that when we put a strip so that the nipples do not pierce the tube. Then we put the tube on, then we put the tire on, and then we make sure that the front tire, the back tire and the front tire are perfectly matched and are following each other, are tracking basically perfectly behind each other. And that's important. You won't typically get that kind of process if you have somebody else building your wheels for you, or really taking the time to make sure that the two wheels are tracking each other, that they're ditched correctly, and that they are tensioned, that there's enough tension on those spokes. So we check all that every time that we build our bikes. So when reviewers are doing these reviews, I'm not sure if they're actually really taking the tension measurement and making sure that each one is tensioned perfectly, that's ditched perfectly. And we'll go through this process as we evolve this channel. The other really important thing that we find is our braking. Now braking, a lot of people say, well, the braking, we've got this brake and it's got hydraulic brake and it's got a name brand brake, but what type of stopping power do they actually have? Now stopping power can be related to the type of tire that you use, and it can be for the weight of the rider and the weight of the bike. But what you do is you say, okay, for a cruiser bike, in a cruising type of activity, we make sure that we have the right traction on the tire that actually coincides with the type of braking system that we use. And we really are set on our brake. We never would use cable brakes. A lot of brands use a cable brake on an electric bike. That's almost like putting a cable brake on a high-powered motorbike. It's not a good idea over time, because that cable inside the sleeving actually will start stretching, and a lot of corrosion can get in there, and then it can snap over time. But again, there are varying degrees of quality of the brake. And what we do is we go with one of the highest, if not the highest. There's a debatable point. Is SRAM or is Shimano or is Tektro the better brand of braking? So we do the Tektro brake. This is a Tektro Dorado on this bike. This is a Project Beautiful bike, and you'll notice that it's really well engineered. It's got the nice reservoir for the mineral oil. It's also got a nice big enough handle with the non-slip edge here. But the nice thing about this is, if you are a rider that loves to ride your bike often, and you might be getting sort of a little bit older and you've got maybe a little bit of arthritis, or you've got an injury, the nice thing about these brakes is you can actually pull the brake with your pinky. You don't have to have these brakes over time that you kind of really trying to squeeze in because it's a cable style brake. But it's not just the regular mineral oil that we use, and it's not just because it's a hydraulic disc brake. It also has 4 pistons. So typically a disc brake will have 2 pistons. So 1 piston on either side, you'll have the rotor in the middle, and then it'll squeeze the rotor to slow down the bike. We have 4 pistons. So that's just double the stopping power. And those small details you wouldn't really notice on one of these reviews. Well, because we build our own bikes, we find that braking is crucial on these bikes over time. So having hydraulic, really important. Having a quality hydraulic brake that doesn't leak and doesn't cause spongy braking. So you have a quality of sealing on there. You have the 4 pistons, and also I'll show you back over here with the rotor. The rotors, everyone would say, oh, it's a 180 it's got the 180 diameter rotor, but it's not only that. It's got the stainless bolts that keep it in place so that it doesn't move around. But also, most rotors are 1.5 millimeters thick. Some, which are the better ones, are 1.8 millimeters thick. The width of the brake is actually 2.3 millimeters thick. And the reason why that's important is over time, if it's thin, the rotor will start warping. And if you're at really high speeds, and you brake, that can heat up and can even warp even more. And of course, that's going to compromise your braking. So the braking system's key. So when one of these reviewers go, oh, well, you know, it's got hydraulic disc brakes. Well, that's also not really the full story. What type of hydraulic, do they use mineral oil, or do they use DOT oil? Do they have a sealed system? Do they have the non-slip grip? Do they have the thicker rotor? Do they have the 4-piston system? So these are really important details. And again, hence the channel name. That's a brutally honest e-bike review that we're doing here. Now, another thing what we find really important, we've gone through the strength of the frame, we've gone through the bearings to keep the thing tight over time, we've gone through the tires and the rim, and we've gone through the braking. One of the other important parts is lighting. Lighting on an e-bike is crucial, because a lot of your bikes that you end up using, or the e-bikes that you find that you actually ride it a lot more often than you think you are going to. It's really fun, it's convenient, you can actually use it as another form of transportation. Your kids might end up using it. So what we've done at the electric bike company is we made sure we're upgrading the lighting package every year. It's even more and more significant. On the Project Beautiful bike over here, I'll turn the lights on. So we'll go through the start process, and when I turn the lights on, you'll notice it's a really nice double. It's a double LED lights, and down over here we've got the really cool option of being able to have high. We've got low beam and we've got a high beam option, and this actually just doubles up the front light. But also, if you come around here, Blake, we've also made sure that the back lights, which are also crucial, are really important. We've got 2 on the side, and you can actually notice them from the side. So if you're coming from the side of the bike, you'll see them. But also here on the back, we've got a beautiful light that's curved, and it's integrated with the rack. And this is important, not only that you can see it from the back, but you can also see it from the side. And Blake, if you come back to the back here, we've also got, what's really nice is braking lights. So we've incorporated this in our Project Beautiful bikes, and it's as an upgrade package, and soon it will be standard on all our bikes. But right now it's an upgraded package to get the brake lights. The fun thing that we also have, and you'll notice if I turn these lights off and you're riding regularly, we've also got on the bike over here, I'll turn the bike on, and there we go, and we've got indicator lights. Now these are just nice to have. They're not essential on a regular class 2 e-bike, but they're really nice to have. We find lighting to be crucial, but this is really the bonus of safety for us. Is for our upgraded package, you'll see that there's a little sensor right here, and this will be standard on all our upgraded packages. And that sensor is a light sensor, really good for rental companies, really nice for kids that forget to turn on their lights. So when the light goes dim, the lights come on. So this is a nice safety feature. We also will notice, because safety is so important to us, we have an integrated electric horn, and I'll press that here. You can see there. So it's just on the side, and the nice thing about this is this real estate on the handlebar is crucial, and because your thumb is only so far, so we make sure you got the power settings, you got your alarm right there, and you've got your indicator settings. And the same on the other side. You've got your thumb throttle, and you've got your high beam, low beam switches here. What we've also done is, and we find it's really important, if you get your bikes built at an overseas factory somewhere, it's very difficult to personalize that. Some people actually find that a thumb throttle is really important. Other people feel that they're used to riding motorbikes and they feel that a twist throttle is safer for them. So we now give the customer the option. Call in and say, you know what, I've ordered my bike, I prefer to have the twist throttle, we'll go ahead and add that. And you'll notice in 2023, because we build our own product, we have all the experts here. We have all the tools here, we have all the settings, we have all the parts. So what you can do is you can contact us and we can personalize your bike for you. And one of the things is the handlebars. So your steering, this is the next point I'd like to make. Your steering on your e-bike, of course you're going at higher speeds often, you're going a lot further often, and you're carrying cargo. So your steering mechanism is key. We spoke about the internal integrated bearings, but also you want to make sure that this is the kind of comfort handlebar that you feel is important. If you are more of an attack rider, you want to be leaning forward and you want to have a straight handlebar, you feel that's more comfortable to get through traffic, well, we can add on a mountain bike style handlebar, a flatter handlebar. If you would rather, you might be a bit younger, you don't want the handlebar swept back so much, and you want a BMX handlebar, we can add that to your bike too. So these are all personalized and customized, but also safety features that you can have. And that's only available if you actually are building the bikes yourself, or you're contracting with a specialized e-bike factory that can do those details that you would like. So when we go through this whole bike, it's obviously, we can go through a lot more detail. It's obviously comfortable. It's got the nice comfortable seat. It's got this hand stitched leather grips. We sometimes get the response from some reviewers, oh well, I would rather have a little, more cushier grip. No problem, we can swap those out for you. This is kind of like your wallet or your handbag. Once you use this a long time, it actually starts molding with your hands. It gets worn in and it gets really comfortable and becomes part of your bike. Once we go through all the little details of the bike, you can see on our website we have a cheat sheet card over here, and it says why ride EBC, and all the points that I've really mentioned. It's got puncture resistant tires, it's got reflective sidewalls, it's got the color display, it's got a nice charging port at the back, it's got a comfortable seat. We spoke about the grips, got the sealed bearings and all the rust resistant hardware. We'll go now through the charger and the authentication card, which is really important for us. Just a quick summary around here. Of course, we make them all here. We wait for the order to come in, and we build every single bike to order, and we ship it fully built to one of our 180 dealers nationwide, or directly to your home. If you buy directly from us, you can go straight to one of our dealers, have a relationship with them, and they can take care of you too. It's got up to 128 miles per hour throttle with a 10-year warranty. We set the bike out at 2020, so 20 miles per hour throttle, 20 miles per hour pedal assist. But if your county or city or state allows up to 28 miles per hour on pedal assist, you can go ahead and set that. It's got obviously the highest quality battery cells. We only use the best, and a 5-year warranty because we build a lot of the packs here ourselves. We spoke about the hydraulic disc brakes and the integrated lighting, electric horn, anti-theft alarm system. Anybody really can get a factory overseas, put their name on it, bring the bike in, and set up a whole big song and dance on how they're going to sell their product, which is fine. There is a segment for that. They can get it maybe just in a box. It's already there. They'll ship it to you. You'll probably have to then assemble it yourself, which we don't really like because there's so many details on assembling a bike with the settings and the torque and how, do you torque the bolt too tight or do you torque it too loose? And both can be a problem. We want to set the bike up completely for you, 99.9% assembled. The only thing you have to do, because we slide it into the box like that, is turn the handlebars and tighten those, and that's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to know anything about bike assembly to get going on your bike. The one things I'd like to talk about over here, and this comes standard with our Project Beautiful bike. We'll start off with the toolkit. Now, most toolkits you might just get a set of Allen keys. Well, here, of course, those are important. You get a set of Allen keys with those. You get a wire cutter. Now, why is this important? Well, because it's an electric bike, a lot's got to do with wiring. So if you want to take off your back wheel, you want to get rid of these cable ties, and that's what this is for. Otherwise, you find yourself trying to get rid of that. Every e-bike toolkit should come with this because they've all got wires and they've all got cable ties. So we get that standard with our toolkit for the Project Beautiful and upgraded package. Also, if you want to take off your tire, you need tire levers. Now, this is another thing which kind of, reason why we started this channel is small details like this. When other e-bike brands, they send you a toolkit, well, guess what? You try to take the wrench, you go to take off the motor, and the wrench is not big enough to get over the motor, to get over the bolt. You want to make sure that if you are taking this off, that it actually fits onto the bolt, so that you can take off the tire. So this has to be big enough. So the size of a regular motor is 18, not 16, not 14. So send a toolkit with a wrench that actually fits the bolt. So I'll just show you that. So there, it fits right on top of that, and then you can go ahead and loosen it. Either don't include this or send it that doesn't fit. The other important part is once you've got the Allen keys, well, you need a screwdriver and a lot of small little details that you just want to tweak your bike. One of our favorite things which we've added now is what happens if you have a puncture. Well, of course, you want to fix the puncture, but you need a pump. Now, you don't need a massive pump to get you home, but a small enough one that you can use a hand pump that fits in the toolkit itself. Now, people have asked, well, you know what? I want the most convenient. Well, we added a CO2 canister, and this CO2 canister just screws in there. You put it to the valve, and it will automatically inflate your tire. Now, what happens if you have a puncture and you want to replace it or repair it? Of course, we've got a small little repair kit. And one of my favorite things is the tire sealant. Who really wants to go ahead and take off the tire and have to repair it? Well, we added this as part of our repair kit. And what that does is once your tire's deflated, you'll put this in, you'll squeeze the contents of this into the tube, and then you'll take your hand pump and go ahead and pump the tire up, or use your CO2, pump the tire. This automatically seals the puncture, and you'll be on your way. So the toolkit itself, there's a lot of detail and a lot of thought that has been put into this. There's also a little Allen key, and that's for to get if you have a problem with your rotor and you want to tighten or loosen those bolts. But these are all small details that are crucial. Like, why would you want to send a toolkit if you don't have all these included? Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was the charger. A lot of people talk about, oh well, our battery. Now, our batteries, as we said, and we spoke about the motor, high quality. We have a massive warranty. We support that warranty here because we have all our engineers that actually take the battery pack. We don't assemble the cells and the nickel plating, the BMS. We get those blue packs according to our specifications, but then we put that in a casing. We do all the internal wiring, we do the charge ports, and we do the on-off switches, and we do the integrated lighting, integrated chargers, all that stuff ourselves. But at least we have the people here, we have the tools, we have the parts, we have the experts to be able to service that product quickly and cost effectively. The other thing, so that's the discharge of the battery. You know, you charge your battery, you go out, and everyone talks about range and talks about speed. But what about the charging? That's only half the time, but the other half is charging. And the charging is just as important, if not more important, than the discharging of a battery. So we'll talk about the charger. The discharging is important, but so is the charging. And it's really important that your charger, the technology inside the charger, coincides and parallels to the BMS, to your actual battery. It's no use really getting a battery from one supplier and then a charger from another supplier. There can be a lot of different problems that you have in there. So what we do, of course, is making our own bikes, is we ensure that the battery management system that's in our batteries is synced to the technology in our charger. Of course, the voltage has to be right, the amount of amps that go inside it, but also small things like making sure that we have a 3-prong charging port. You know, you see these e-bike brands that they have a charging port with just a single prong. And what happens is over time that thing starts moving around and it can short out the connection between your charger and your battery and cause problems. The other thing which is really important in the charger is we have a fuse. We have an input fuse and we have an external fuse. So an input fuse and an output fuse to make sure that if the power coming into the battery is too much, the fuse will blow, and if the power going out of the charger to the battery is too much, it blows. So it's really important to have both input and output fuses. Also the case, you can see all these brands that have plastic cases. Now plastic is okay, it's cheap, and it does the job to a certain extent. But the nice thing about having an aluminum case, it acts as a heat sink. So if the charger starts heating up, it cools down a lot faster than plastic. But also for safety, we've got a fan, a cooling fan inside here. So not only with the 3-prong, with the fuses, with the aluminum and the cooling fan and the charge and the charge lights on here, but also the internal parts of these chargers are specifically made for our particular batteries. And this is called a smart charger for a reason. It's called CCCV charger. It's constant current, then constant voltage. So it'll give as much current as we allow. And once, it's kind of like filling up a whole bunch of test tubes all together. If you had to take sort of like 40 test tubes and you had to take a bucket of water and try and fill them all up equally. At the beginning, you can actually fill them up pretty fast. But once you get to the top, you want to slow down and you want to just top them up to make sure that they're all topped up evenly and they don't overflow or underflow. And that's called a CCCV. Constant current in the beginning and then constant voltage at the end. And this is a smart charger. Really important detail. Very few people that review bikes actually understand that. But also the size of the charger is important. People would say, well, charging's charging. Well, that's okay. But if you have a rental company or if you want to go back out on the road in time, you want to have a supercharger, and that's what this is. So it's a smart charger, it's a safe charger, but also it's a fast charger. So that's part of the charging. The last two things I wanted to discuss, and we'll take this as sort of like our yardstick for our rest of our reviews, and we'll talk a little bit about the wiring. So most bicycles are mechanical. Of course, on electric bikes, mechanical and electrical. And one of the electrical nuances is the wiring. And we spent many, many years finding the correct wiring. Firstly, supplier. We use a really good supplier. It is from China, but these guys are phenomenal. They follow our exact specifications, our drawings, the kind of colors that we use, and the waterproofing. These are waterproof connectors, and the length of the wires, the way that the junction box connects all these. There's 14 different wires that come in and out here. These are for lighting and for pedal assist and for display and for the front light, etc. These are all connected in a junction box according to our specifications, so we can service and repair all our wiring. And then of course the length of the wire and the thickness, the gauge of the wire, all specific to our bikes. You got somebody else making your bike for you, or you don't spec that can cause problems down the road. So the wiring is a key part for the quality of your e-bike. Now the last thing we'll do on this particular review is we'll talk about small little details that you get. On our bikes, on the upgraded package, you get an anti-theft alarm system. Nice thing is, it's also got a little panic button if you need, but it works just like a car. If you move it, the alarm will go off. It'll keychain there. But also what we're more excited about is every bike gets this electric bike company authentication card. And what that is, it's got who built the bike, who tested and inspected, the serial number and the date. Now this one over here, of course, is a demo, so it doesn't have the order number, otherwise you'll get your order number. Now you could log onto the website, check your serial number, and you can actually speak to Rainier or his supervisor here. He's a qualified inspector, so he can build and inspect his own bike. But normally, if he's not qualified, you'll get the builder and you'll get an independent inspector. But he will also, according to that date and the serial number, he'll also have his manager. So you can speak to Rainier, or you can speak to his manager, or of course you can speak to one of the directors, and you can say, I have my serial number, this is who built my bike, I have a problem with the bike. And then what we can do is we can track all that information, and then we go and we talk to the builder, and we talk to the inspector, we talk to the manager on duty, and we say, hey, this bike had this issue, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. So our standards just continually improve. So you get that, and you also get, we send our bikes out as a class 2 bike, but if you prefer just to have pedal assist, you can swap out the sticker, you can disconnect the throttle, and then you can have just a class 1 bike. And if you want a class 3 bike, you can stick the class 3 sticker on there and disconnect your throttle and put it up to 28 miles per hour. And this is a nice little video. You just scan that and you'll see how to do that, so you don't have to read a whole complicated manual. So these are all the small details that make up a really quality e-bike. So the price points of these bikes are between $2,000 and $3,000. There are cheaper ones, but I can tell you all the points that we've listed in this review will not be met. It will be impossible for any e-bike manufacturer to meet the same standards that we have at a lower price. You'll just be compensating on a few things, maybe on lighting, maybe on tires, maybe on braking, maybe on the quality of the frame, maybe on your battery warranty or your motor or your charger or something like that. So this is our first real authentic review where we say it's brutally honest. Now, can we improve? Of course, we constantly are looking at each of our parts, each of our processes, each of the components, and when our supplier comes up with a better, let's say, clamp, or a better racking system, or something that's on the bike that we feel needs to be improved, we will talk with them, we'll work with them, we'll make sure that we're on the cutting edge of that technology. We'll ensure that we are that each one of our suppliers is giving us the latest and greatest of their parts, and then we'll take those 700 different parts and we'll put it on our bike, and then we'll just keep evolving as we go. We'll see. I hope you enjoyed that. It was quite a lengthy review. We are going to start taking some of our competitors' bikes and some other bikes that are sent to us, and we'll break them down, and we'll get a brutally honest e-bike review from the electric bike company. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.